very first tag video. Hey guys, my name is Liddy, and today I'm going to be doing the some camera issues silvers tag. I was tagged by Angela over at Coffee and Chapters, and I'm very excited because this is my very first tag video. This is about the 5th time I've filmed this video because I was having some camera issues, so I know it's going to be kind of long, so just bear with me. So the first question is, what are my top 3 favorite books? And my favorite book is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. I read this book 6 years ago, and I love this book so much. I don't know why I'm so captured by this romance, but it's great. The other two, I had a little bit of trouble because they're both books in a series, 2 different series. And it's just kind of hard to choose your favorite book in a series, and I didn't want to use 2 books from the same series as the other two because I figured my top 3 should be, spread out a little. So I just kind of went with it. Coming in second for me is Winter by Marissa Meyer, and it's kind of a toss-up between this one and Scarlet, which is my favorite in the series. But I think this one was just such an epic conclusion. Despite the fact that it didn't make me cry 3 times like Scarlet did, it is just such a great book. That grammar made no sense, but I really love this book. So we're gonna go with this for number 2. And coming in as number 3, none of you will be surprised what series this is part of. It's one of the Harry Potter books, and I kind of just keep gravitating back to this one. I think it's my favorite in the series, and that is Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban by J.K. Rowling. The next question are my top 3 least favorite books, and this is such a hard question for me because there are 2 things I do that I don't like a book. I either try as hard as I can to forget about it, or I just don't finish it. So recently I didn't finish Eleanor and Park. I know this is a super unpopular opinion, but I couldn't deal with it. I didn't like it. There was far too much language way too early in the book, and I just didn't connect with the main 2 characters. I read the first 5 chapters and I was like, I can't deal with this anymore, I'm done. So I just kind of stopped. So I guess that makes the list because I could only get through 5 chapters. Maybe I would like it a little better if I kept trying, but I don't really care to. I also remember really hating Old Man by the Sea in high school when I read it. But yeah, those are the only 2 that are jumping out at me as books I don't like. 3 is a popular author I love, and I could have gone with so many authors for this one because obviously I love J.K. Rowling, I love Marissa Meyer, but I'm going to go with a different author that wouldn't have been featured in this video otherwise, and that is going to be Rick Riordan, the author of the Percy Jackson series and Heroes of Olympus and whatever other things in that world he's created. Those are the only ones I've read. But yeah, Rick Riordan, I just love his characters, his storytelling, and how he makes things that never interested me before very interesting. The next question is a popular author I don't love, and I'm going to go with the same thing that Angela did for the exact same reason, and that is going to be Sarah J. Maas. I've never read a book of hers, but I've heard from various places on the internet that she writes very R-rated content, and I'm a very PG-13 tops content type of person. So I just don't really have any interest in reading anything that is going to have that type of content, and from what I've heard, all of her books do. So question 6 is a series I won't finish, and to be honest with you, I cannot think of a series that I've started that I don't intend on finishing. I can think of one series that I started 6 years ago, and I'm going to have to reread the first book because I don't remember it, but I really want to finish it. I didn't at first, and this is kind of embarrassing, and I'm going to hide behind a pillow and say it, Lord of the Rings. I've only read The Fellowship of the Ring. I read it in high school, for high school class. Same class I read Pride and Prejudice for, actually. Just never got around to reading the rest of them because at first I didn't like it, but I think I'm going to try again. It's on my 2018 TBR, is to read the Lord of the Rings books. I'm going to borrow them from my brother. Someone could hold me to that. Number 7, I almost said 2007. Number 7 is my earliest bookish memory, and oops, I have my piled books out of order, apparently. Oh no, I skipped a question. I skipped question 5. Question 5 an underrated book you think that everybody should read. I don't think everyone should read this, but if you are a diehard Beauty and the Beast fan like I am, I highly recommend it. It is a very fun take, and that is As Old as Time by Liz Braswell. I have not seen this book pretty much anywhere on BookTube. The only other person I know of that has read it is the person that I basically stuffed it in her face and was like, read this. But it's such an interesting take. As you can see maybe on the cover, the premise is, what if Belle's mother cursed the beast? I love Enchantress fan theories. I just think they're the greatest thing ever. And interesting takes on Beauty and the Beast in general. I just really love Beauty and the Beast. So I really highly recommend this one if you also love Beauty and the Beast, because it is so much fun. I have a video review that I think has mild spoilers, but it's like pretty spoiler free, and I like mention when I'm going to be like kind of spoilish in it. So if you want to learn more before picking this up, you can go ahead and watch that, or you can just pick it up, because seriously guys, you should read this book if you love Beauty and the Beast. Now on to question 7, which is my earliest bookish memory. And my earliest bookish memory is when I was really little, my mom would sometimes read the Chronicles of Narnia books to my brother and I. And I remember when she would do this, she'd be reading, and then all of a sudden, she would fall asleep, and she would start sleep talking. I'm holding up The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe because I know what happened with this book. I'm pretty sure it happened with The Magician's nephew as well. But this is the one I remember because I remember that one time when it happened, it had something to do with Mr. Tumnus. But it was really funny, and it's also just kind of fun to have these bookish memories that involve my family. The next question, question 8, is my favorite bookish memory, and that is definitely up there. But I'm gonna have to go with my first read through of the Harry Potter series. So far my only, but I'm actually planning on rereading these at the end of the year for Rory Keevy's Harry Christmas to You. But they just meant so much to me. It was such a fun, exciting first read for me, and I was going through a really hard time. I also actually have a video about what Harry Potter means to me and like why that was such an important and memorable read for me. So if you want to watch that, I will link that down below because I can't really talk about it concisely, so I'm not even going to try to describe it in this video. Question 9 is my favorite genre, and that's going to go between 2, and that's fantasy and romance. But both of them I have to put a little bit of a disclaimer on. Fantasy, I don't really like high fantasy that like gives me a headache to try to figure out what the heck is going on. I like fantasy that I can understand, which is why middle grade fantasy has kind of been my thing so far. I'm building my way up. But, you know, most of my favorite books have some sort of fantasy element in them, and I just really enjoy it. I really love magical things. I just think it's a lot of fun. And the other is romance. I think I already said that. But the qualification for romance is really, it has to be historical romance. It's very rare that I like contemporary romance, or if it's a contemporary romance, it's got to have some other major theme in there other than romance, because usually contemporary romance is just very cringeworthy and I can't take it. But I love historical romance. I mean, you know, Pride and Prejudice is my favorite book after all. And also, like, the Love Comes Softly series by Jeanette Oak. Like, oh goodness, I love that type of thing. It's so great. Anyway, question 10 is my least favorite genre, and that would be horror, or anything that makes me want to crawl under my bed and cry, which would be very difficult because I have a trundle bed under my bed, so I can't really crawl under it. Question 11 is an important or hard book that I am proud to have read, and that would have to be The Institutes of Christian Religion by John Calvin. John Calvin has been my favorite theologian for quite a few years now. I just really like the way that he wrote about God and the Bible, and it was so much fun. I actually took an entire class on this work, and it made me appreciate John Calvin more, who was already my favorite theologian, but even more importantly, I appreciated God, his word, and the church so much more after taking this class and reading through this wonderful, kind of tough to read sometimes, but really wonderful work. So, Institutes of Christian Religion by John Calvin. And number 12 is my favorite children's book. I can't pick just one, so I'm going to give you 2. The first one is I've Lost My Yellow Zebra. I don't know who wrote it, but it's like one of those lift the flap books that like teaches you the alphabet. It's real cute. And also a classic, Green Eggs and Ham by Dr. Seuss, because it's Dr. Seuss. He has to be in this video. Number 13 is my favorite book cover, and my favorite book cover, without a doubt, is Lost in a Book by Jennifer Donnelly. Look at this book. It's beautiful and magical and whimsical, and like this book, this is the closest thing to a cover buy I've ever had, because I saw this cover and I was like, I want that on my shelf, and that was before I even really had a shelf, but I was just like, I want this book. I don't even really know what it's about. I don't know the premise, but I want this book. I did check the reviews on Goodreads before picking it up, because I refuse to do a 100% cover buy, because I need to know something about what I'm reading, because books are expensive. But it's just really beautiful, and also it's really beautiful without the slipcover on too, at least to me, because it's bright yellow with like this gold, probably really hard to see on the camera, writing on the spine, and it's just really lovely. And yeah, and the story inside's pretty good too. The next question is question 14, and that would be an ugly book cover, and I'm not sure if I would say this book cover is ugly, but I don't like it, and that is my copy of Pride and Prejudice. It is the Simon & Schuster Enriched Classic Edition. I don't like it. I don't understand the peacock. I think it has something to do with Darcy and his like pretentiousness or something, but still, like, why a peacock? Like, why is that such a quintessential Pride and Prejudice cover? I don't get it. And I don't like it. And like, peacock aside, like, why is it like blocked with like this weird pink bit at the bottom? I don't know. I just don't like this cover, and I really want to buy a new copy of Pride and Prejudice that's way prettier than this, because it's my favorite, and this cover just isn't. And it doesn't have to be my favorite cover ever, but just why? Why is this the cover? Seriously, if someone understands the peacock thing, like, is my theory right? Like, why the peacock? Someone please enlighten me. I want to know. I really do. Question number 15 is diverse book recommendations, and to be honest with you, whenever I'm thinking about books, how diverse they are is not necessarily a thing I think of. I'm not saying I've never read a diverse book, but it's not necessarily what I think about. Like, oh, I like this book because it's diverse. Like, I am someone who picks books based on their plot and who stays with books partially for their plot, but also just for the quality of their characters. And when I'm looking at a good character, I don't necessarily where they're from or what they look like, but I care about like how they act and who they are. And so I'm not saying I've never read a diverse book. I just can't really think of one at the top of my head that I've read and really enjoyed. To be honest with you, I would like to read more diverse books, but it's not something I necessarily am going to go out of my way to do, just because there's only so much time to read, and I want to read books that the plot sounds interesting to me. That being said, if you have any diverse book recommendations for me, please let me know, because I'm not saying that I don't want to read diversely, but it kind of depends, because sometimes like diverse means different things. But like, I would love to read books that are diverse, like culturally, racially, any books that have good representation of mental illness would be right up my alley too. Like, those types of books are books I'd like to read, but I just haven't necessarily found them. I really hope that I don't sound like a really horrible, ignorant person in answering this question. It's just not something that I particularly like seek out, and it's not something I especially remember about a book, because I don't necessarily pay attention to character descriptions, and I can't think of a great book from like a different culture that I've read. But I would really like to read more if you can. So I really do hope that I don't sound like a terribly ignorant person in answering this question, because I really don't want to. It's just, I can't really think of anything, and I don't want to sit here and lie. My camera died at the end of the last clip, so I'm sorry if I got cut off a little. But I only have one more question. So the last question Question number 16 is why do I love to read? And I love to read this is such a hard question to answer actually. I'm actually going to paraphrase a quote from the Love Comes Softly movie, and that is that I can go wherever I want to go, be whoever I want to be, but I can do it all safe from the safety of my own home. I just love the fact that you can read and experience so many different grand adventures without being put into a grave amount of danger, and there's just so much you can experience through reading, and it's magical. And I really do believe that God created us to be lovers of story, and I really do. I just love a good story. I love good characters. I love characters I can relate to and characters that can teach me things. And it's just so amazing how God can use story. And he can use stories to just teach us more about him, which is really incredible when you have a book that you really just, on the surface level, has nothing to do with God, but it does because everything reflects God's glory in some way. Or every good thing, I should say. So it's just so incredible to me that God can use fiction to teach us more about himself, and I just really love that. So that's all the questions for this tag. Thank you so much, Angela, for tagging me so I could do my very first tag video. I'm going to tag my friend Sarah at Sushi Puff. I've never seen her make a booktube related video, but she's one of my best friends and is really the only person I could think of to tag in this video. So Sarah, I tag you. Anyway, that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you have a very lovely day, and I will see you soon in another video. Bye!